Okay, let's see. What kind of light we got here? Doesn't look too bad. Okay, so I'm going to go over the practice problems for the circle practice. Looks like a recording. Looks like the light's good. Okay, so I have the answers in front of me. I have a calculator in front of me on an iPad, because I'm thinking most of you probably will be using some kind of phone or something for your calculations. And let's go through these. These are not easy, but they are probably what you will see as you move on through math as far as circles are concerned. And it's always good to practice word problems. So this is my first time going through them, but I do have the answers in front of me. So if I don't get the answer that's on the answer key, I will go back and work through it again. So like I said, some of these are tricky. All right. So let's take a look at this one. Make sure you can see all of it. Okay. The circular opening of a vase or a vase has an inside diameter of 13.5 centimeters. So if you watched the videos before this, you know that the diameter is all the way across and that the radius is half of that. All right, so let's read the rest of it. With the geometry problems, a lot of times the real question is under the picture. And also a good point to use is they said they want us to use 3.14 for pi. Hopefully all of this is making sense because you watched the 2 instructional videos. What is the approximate area of this circular opening? The reason they use the word approximate is because pi is an irrational number that goes on and on and on and on forever. So there's a quality of impreciseness about it until they find the end, which may never happen because it's irrational. That's what keeps it irrational. All right, so area of a circle. Again, hopefully you watched your videos. Area equals pi r squared. That's the formula. So we are looking for all of this, not the circumference around, but everything in the middle. So the first thing I want to do is find out what half of 13.2 is. So I'm going to do 13.5, sorry. 13.5. And I'm going to divide that by 2. In other words, in half. So it's 6.75. All right, the radius is 6.75 centimeters. All right, so we know that part. That's this part. So area equals pi times 6.75 squared. Okay, so hopefully you remember that squared means that number times itself. So I already have the 6.75 on my calculator, so I'm just going to multiply it times 6.75. So now I have 45.5625. 45.5625 times pi equals A. And you'll notice they told us up here that that's what pi's got to equal. So area equals 3.14 times 45.5625. All right, so I've already got my 45.5625 in here. So I'm just going to multiply it by 3.14. And I get that number. All right, so let's see. Let's look at the answers. So the closest answer to all of that looks like B. That is the best possible answer. I'm going to go check my answers, and it's right. We got it right. Also, another thing, pardon me, that I want to reinforce in case you've forgotten is when you have, this is essentially a letter, right? Times a variable. I'm sorry, this is a number. It's not a letter, it's a number. It looks like a letter, a Greek letter, but it is a number. This is a number times a variable, and that is always multiplication. I think some of you are still a little confused about that because you don't see an X or a dot or parentheses. Or, well, you do see parentheses later. All right, so we got number 1 right. Let's move on. All right, I'm going to clear out my calculator. The distance a wheel travels in one rotation is a function of the wheel's diameter. The picture below shows the diameter of the tire on Michelle's car. If you'll notice, and you watched your videos, they're showing us this. This is actually the circumference. So I'm guessing, although I haven't read the whole question yet, that we're going to need this formula. Circumference is the diameter times pi. So we know the diameter is 24. We know pi is 3.14. So maybe this won't be so bad. So let's read the rest of the question. Michelle has decided to switch from her 24-inch tires to low-profile tires, which will decrease the diameter of her tires to 20 inches. How many rotations more to the nearest whole rotation will the new tire make in order to travel 1 mile? So this is a really sneaky way of making us do like 3 different problems. So the first thing we're going to have to do is find out the circumference of a circle with 24-inch diameter, the circumference of a circle with a 20-inch diameter, and we're going to have to subtract this one from this one because we're looking for more. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to do, for this one, we're going to do circumference equals 24 times 3.14. For this one, we're going to do circumference equals 20 times 3.14. I'm going to pull out the calculator. So 24 times 3.14, 75.36. And then I'm going to do 20 times 3.14, which is 62.8. So now I just have to subtract those. And that's going to tell us how much more. All right, so I'm looking at this number, 12.56. Let's take a look. Michelle has decided to switch from her 24-inch tires to low-profile tires, which will decrease the diameter of her tires to 20 inches. How many rotations more to the nearest whole rotation will the new tire make in order to travel 1 mile? Wow. So we've got this mile thing here. I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute. There are 2,000, no, I can't even remember. How many feet in a mile? Let's look it up. My brain is putty. Feet in a mile. 5,280. I had the numbers in the wrong order. Hey, what are you doing? Excuse me. Dog eating sweater. Okay. So I guess probably what we should do here is this is feet. This is inches. That's all inches. Okay, so let's turn 75.36 into feet. Get my calculator back. 75.36 into feet. So I'm going to divide by 12 to make that feet. So that's 6.28 feet. That's for the big tire. For the little tire, 62.8 divided by 12. I don't know where the money thing came from. Let's see. Now I can't get rid of it. All right, well, we'll ignore that part. All right, 62.8 divided by 12 equals 5.23. All right, I don't know why that went away. All right, so this means these numbers are the feet of going all the way around the tire. So now we're going to divide this number by these two. I hope. We'll find out. I'm feeling a little lost. All right, so let's do this. And I hope you can see this. But I wrote it like this, but I'm going to put it in my calculator kind of backwards. 5280 divided by 6. Where's the point? This is annoying, folks. All right, hold on a second. But I don't have a calculator. Yes, I do. All right. So we're going to have 5280 divided by 6.28, which is 840. So that's how many rotations. And actually, I'm going to call it 841 because it says round to the nearest whole rotation. So that would be the nearest whole rotation. 841. That's for the big tire. Remember, this is all for the big tire. Because we went from here, we divided that by 12 and got this. And then we divided this by that to get the number of rotations. So now let's do the same thing here. Noticing that I'm kind of putting in the calculator backwards. 5280 divided by 5.23 equals 1010. Which makes sense because the smaller tire is going to have to do more rotations to cover more space. So now what we have, and again, this is pretty complicated. I'm crossing my fingers we're going to get it right. What is the difference between 1010 and 841? So let's see. 1010 minus 841. 169. Well, it's pretty close to B, and I just looked at the answer and it's right. So that was a lot of stuff. I know some of you probably would have given up on that at some point. I know I might have given up on it at some point if I wasn't trying to make a video, but you just need to get as close as you can. All right, so here's the next one. Let me see if you can see all this. Okay, so we've got a cylindrical wooden dowel, has a length of 15 centimeters and a radius of 1.2 centimeters. A cut is made parallel to the circular base as shown. What is the area in centimeters of the cross-section formed by the cut? So hopefully I'm going to be right about this, but this is not really even necessary information. And then I want you to notice that all these answers just have pi. Because if you watch the videos, you know that pi is a number. It looks like a variable, but it's a number. So it's really enough to just write it there. It's enough for the mathematician to know that it's just 3.14 blah, blah, blah times 38.88. This is actually more exact than doing 3.14 because in your calculator, this symbol carries out for a long, 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 long time, okay? So all we have to do, we're looking for area. So let's draw the circle. There's only one tricky part about this question. The tricky part is we only know the radius. I mean, we do know the radius. That's all we need to know. The tricky part is to remember the formula. Area equals pi r squared. Then you need to know that that is r because you watched both the videos. And you need to know that square means 1.2 times 1.2. Okay, so let's do that. $1.44. And it looks like it's A. And again, we just have to write the pi. Let me look before I circle it. Yep, It's A. That's the answer. So far, so good. We're doing okay, guys. I hope you're taking notes because you're going to get to take this again to fix your grade if you want to. All right, let's look at this one. A soccer field is 80 yards wide and 120 yards long. A circular area located in the middle of the field has a circumference of 16 pi yards. A diagram of the soccer field is shown below. What is the area in square yards of the portion of the field that is outside of the circular area? So the first thing we have to find is the area of the circle and the area of the rectangle. Area of a rectangle is length times width. Area of a circle is pi r squared. And then I always take a look at my answers, and you'll notice they all have pi in them. So we're not going to use 3.14. We're just going to leave it with that pi. All right, so I need the radius. And they're telling me that the diameter is 16. And because you watched your videos, you know that the radius is half of the diameter. Oh, Max. Sorry. Bear eating stuffed animal. Okay. I think I saved it. All right. Now, the radius is 8. So area equals pi 8 squared. Area equals pi 8 squared. Area equals 8 times 8 is 64 pi. Okay? So that is the area of that. So I'm looking here, and this looks kind of interesting because I know I have to subtract this from this because it wants to know this, right? That's what it wants to know. So area equals 80 times 120. 80 times 120. 9,600. Yards squared, yards squared. So this is looking like a pretty good answer. It's not the final answer, but it's how you find the final answer. And that's all they've given us because you always want the best possible answers. So let me take a look at the answers up here, and that is correct. Very good for us. All right, let's move on to the next one. In the diagram, the area of the inner circle is 64 pi square inches. The area of the shaded region is 36 pi square inches. What is x, the width of the shaded region, in inches? All right. So we need for this is a lot of working backwards, which we have not done that much this year. So hopefully after you watch this video, some of this will make sense. We know the formula is pi r squared. That's area. So we're talking about area, and we're talking about area. But what we're looking for is this. Okay, the center is somewhere here. So for this circle right here, the area, the radius, must be 8. Because area equals pi 8 squared, because that's how we get 64. So in this case, the radius is 8. Now, if we add these two areas together, we get 100. It's pretty good. So to find the area of this entire circle, the radius of the entire circle, we're going to do the same thing here. Pi r squared. Area equals pi. Well, what's the square root of 100? Or how do we get 100 with a square? Well, 8 squared is 64. That's not enough. 9 squared is 81. That's not enough. 10 squared is 100. So that means this is going to be 10 squared. So this entire thing is 10, and we're in inches. So let's look again at what the question wants to answer, because you'll notice they have 8 here, they have 10 here. But I'm not sure that's the answer yet because they want this, right? So 10 minus 8 is 2. Let me check. Yep, we got that one right. That's how you do it. So this one looks really scary because it's got a complex picture, but if you just take a deep breath and read it, it's not so bad. All right, we're 5 for 5. Let's look at this one. Which expression should be used to determine the circumference of the base in the cylinder below? So they're just checking to see if you know the formulas. So circumference is diameter times pi. Area is pi r squared. So there's no exponent in a circumference question. So we can get rid of these two right away. No exponent. So are we going to multiply pi times the height? Nope. We're going to multiply pi times the diameter. So number 6 is A. We got that one right. Okay, now we got number 7. Which expression should be used to determine the circumference of the base of the cylinder below? So it's very, very similar. Just want to be sure you know what you're doing here. So these are the two formulas we're working with pi. We are looking for circumference. So we're not going to have any exponents. So these two are gone. And all they did here was they put the diameter on the top instead of drawing it on the bottom. This is still what we need. We do not need times the height. So this one should also be A, which it is. All right, so we're, I think, halfway there-ish. All right, this one is kind of crazy looking, and I put it in here because it's actually kind of neat to see that a circle, when it's cut apart, can make a different shape. So let's just look through it. A student is demonstrating how the formula for the area of a circle is derived from the definition of pi. And if you watch your videos, you know that pi is the circumference divided by the diameter. It's a ratio. In other words, the area around divided by the, this is what pi is. Around divided by across. Okay. The student cuts circles into pieces and rearranges the pieces as shown. So if you have 4 pieces, the picture looks like this. 10 pieces, it looks like this. And 16 pieces, it looks like this. And you'll notice within there, these look a lot like triangles. And this looks a lot like a parallelogram. Which explanation can the student use to show that the area of a circle is found using area equals pi r squared? Okay, so as the number of pieces increases, the figure formed when the pieces are arranged is a parallelogram with a base of pi and a height of r squared. Nope, because the height of this looks like just 1 r, right? I don't know about the other thing, but this is just 1 r, if you look. As the number of pieces increases, the figure formed when the pieces are rearranged is a parallelogram with the base of 2 pi r and a height of a half r. Well, this is still, looks like an r to me, just looking at the pictures. This one doesn't really have, oh, I take it back. I take this back. It's related to r. But the height is actually this. It's not quite r. It's a little less than that. No, take it back again. Brain fuzz. If I had to find the area of a parallelogram, the height would be this, which is that. Okay, let's keep reading. As the number of pieces increases, the figure formed when the pieces are rearranged is a parallelogram with a base of pi r and a height of r. So this is the only one that's got so far that it's a height of r. As the number of pieces increases, so I'm looking at this one right now. As the number of pieces increases, the figure formed when the pieces are rearranged is a parallelogram with a base of 2 pi and a height of a half r squared. Well, that one's just a little bit weird. But I will tell you, I'm looking at the answers, and the answer is C. Because this and this are related. And you'll notice as you cut more pieces, it looks more and more like a parallelogram, which is kind of cool. So anyway, the answer is C. You know the answer now, so you can go back and put it in. All right, let's look at this one. Carla's company made a neon sign in the shape of a capital C. The lighted part of the sign is a glass tube that forms the perimeter of the C, which includes 2 semicircles with the dimensions shown. So I think we're talking about this semicircle and this semicircle. Which measurement is closest to the length of the tube used to make the sign? So I guess we're looking for this. So we know we have 2 inches plus 2 inches plus this. So we need circumference equals pi times diameter. And then because it's a semicircle, we're going to divide by 2. All right, so we've got circumference equals 3.14 times 8. And then 8 plus 2 plus 2 is 12. Circumference equals 3.14 times 12. All right, let's take a look. See what the calculator comes up with. 3.14 times 8 equals 25.12. 3.14 times 12 equals 37.68. And then we've got these up here, 25.12 plus 37.68. $66.88. Let's see if there's one close to that. Oh, there's D, 68.8. Let me take a look at the answers. Uh-oh, because it's half of that. I forgot to do the half, guys. And, that's why it's always good. Read 2 times. So this is a perfect example of this. We did all the math right, except we forgot it was a semicircle. And when I say we, I mean I. I forgot it was a semicircle. So 66.8 divided by 2 is 33.44, which is pretty close to this. And the reason it's not exact is because I really should divide these by 2. So let's be exact. 25.12 divided by 2, 12.56. 37.68 divided by 2, 18.84 plus 4. There we go. All right, so that is the right answer. So beware. Okay, I would say if the first time you went through it, you answered D, you should still give yourself a pat on the back because you understood everything about what you had to do. You just forgot to divide by 2. All right, number 10. The diagram shows a cylindrical drum with a diameter of 15 inches and a cable that is 35 feet long. The cable winds directly onto the drum, which is the closest to the number of rotations of the drum that are required to completely wind up the cable. All right, so the first thing everybody should be noticing is we have inches and we have feet. We have 2 different things going on here. So I am going to turn the feet into inches by doing 35 times 12, which is 420. So this whole thing is actually 420 inches. And then I need to find the diameter of this, and you know let me try that again. You need to find the circumference of this, which is diameter times pi. The diameter is 15. So 15 times 3.14 is 47.1. So what I need to do is 420 divided by 47.1. And I get 8.91. So what's close to that? D. So let me take a look. Let's see. 10 is D. Got that one right. Okay, keep going. 11, Jesse wishes to draw a square of equal area to a given circle with a diameter of 1 inch. What is the side length of the square that will give the closest approximation to the area of the circle inscribed? All right, so the first thing I want to do is find the area of this circle. The diameter is 1, so the radius is 0.5. Area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3, well, actually there's a bunch of pi's in here, isn't there? Well, let's do it like this for right now. So I need 0.5 squared. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 0.5 times 0.5, which is 0.25, times pi, 3.14. So that's area equals 0.785 something squared. All right, so I want the square to be the same as that. So let's take a look. Will the side need to be a 1/2 inch? So 0.5 times 0.5 is only 0.25, so that's not going to be enough. 8/9 times 8/9. Let's see. 8 divided by 9 equals that, times 8 divided by 9 equals that. That is pretty darn close. So I'm thinking about this one. This is 3.14 divided by 4, which is exactly that, actually. If you put in 3.14 divided by 4. Actually, that's not right because that is just a side. And that's, if I multiply that by itself, it's going to be too big. And pi divided by 2, 3.14 divided by 2. It's 1.57. That's too big. So I'm thinking the answer is B. Let me take a look at the answers. It is B. We got it right. Yay. All right. Next one. The formula for the area of a circle is A equals pi r squared. If the radius r is doubled, what is the effect on the area? Well, it's always good to just use an example. So let's do 2 squared. And then we're going to do pi times 4 squared. So in this case, I doubled the radius. The radius here is 2. The radius here is 4. All right, so area equals pi times 4. Area equals pi times 16. Now, this pi is a constant. It's always the same. So we need to look at the relationship between these two. Let's look at our answers. The area decreases. Well, it didn't do that. It definitely went up, so get rid of that. The area decreases. Nope. The area increases by a factor of 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. Nope. So it should be D, and it is, according to the answers. Okay, last one. This one looks super scary until you really take a look at it. The diagram below shows a circular habitat for monkeys at a zoo. The habitat has a radius of 24 feet. The zoo plans to increase the radius of the habitat by 4 feet to enlarge it. By about how much will the circumference of the habitat increase when this change to the radius is made? So we need to do circumference equals pi, Max, what are you doing? Okay, times the diameter. So the diameter is all the way across. 24 times 2 is 48. And then when you increase the radius by 4 feet, you're going to get 28. And 28 times 2 is 56. And these are constants. So the difference between these, 8 times 3.14 is 25.1, which is the answer. All right, again, these were super tricky, I think, if you're not used to doing word problems. But we got them all right. You now have all the answers. So go put in the code and retake it.